What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be revisiting another team that I ran last season, and that is the Triple Shiny Shadow theme team. Now, when I made this team and did the battles, I wasn't feeling well enough to make a video myself, so I sent some battles over to Homeslice Henry to be featured on his channel. So if you want to see that video and you've not seen it yet, then make sure you check the link in the description. But with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. What is the best looking Shadow Shiny Pokemon that has been released in Pokemon Go? Let me know in the comment section below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle here, we lead into an Azumarill, so I'm going to switch here. Usually I switch into Shiftry, but I was calling that it was a double ghost team, and unfortunately I've made an incorrect team composition read as they have a Talonflame instead. We go for a Sludge Bomb, it lands, and we're able to get to a Frenzy Plant before my opponent goes for the full Incinerate Farm Down, meaning I do get a shield advantage in this matchup, which is perfect. I'm going to wait out my switch clock before coming back in with the Alolan Marowak, and I'm going to call that they're not going for the Brave Bird, and I'm correct, it's just a Flame Charge. My opponent goes for the Brave Bird, but they're not able to get to it before we Hex Farm them down. I switch into the Shiftry, I'm countered with a Medicham, but do they know about the Hurricane? No, and we completely one-shot the Medicham and flip this game on its head. Shadow Shiftry doesn't believe in hard counters when we're running Hurricane, and that is why we are running it, because we can just completely nuke those fighting types that typically have an exceedingly good matchup up against the Shiftry. Now we're in a super good position here. It's a CMP tie. All I have to do is farm up to the back-to-back Leaf Blades. This first one will be doing massive damage up against the Azumarill, and the second one will be easily enough to take them out, and I'm going to be able to take that game despite the triple hard counter team composition. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we lead into a Whiscash, another awful lead. This time I am switching into the Shiftry. I'm met with a Shadow Ninetales. Do they know about the Hurricane? They can live a foul play, but they can't live the Hurricane, and once again, Shiftry completely flipping this game. I can now come in with the Alolan Marowak. I do resist the poison type damage here, but an Earth Power would pretty much one-shot me, so I do correctly call the Earth Power there, which is perfect, putting me in a really good position. I can go for the Shadow Bone. We get the first shield, I'm able to get to another Shadow Bone before the next Earth Power, and now we are in a commanding position here because I don't even need to shield this up. I know that a Venusaur can comfortably tank a Poison Fang and get to the Frenzy Plant, but they make a switch into the Whiscash. I'm able to throw the Frenzy Plant before they throw the Blizzard, and at this point that's going to be game over because I can easily get to the Frenzy Plant and take out the Nidoqueen, so my opponent concedes the match. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we lead into a Swampert. This is really bad, and it's even worse because I already know that Swamperts are almost always paired now with the Skarmory. This was a really strong core a few seasons ago, but the buff to Icicle Spear Wall Rain made it so that was a great core breaker for the team, but since it's been nerfed again, this team is now even stronger than it was before. So I'm going to come in with the Alolan Marowak here, calling the Sky Attack, and I'm correct, and also I'm able to get to the Shadow Bone on the CMP tie. I actually undercharge it here, and I'm going to let the Marowak go down because I'm hoping that a 2-shield Venusaur can sweep this game. I farm them down, and they come in with a Charm Grand Ball, and unfortunately, even though we have the dominant type advantage up against the Grand Ball, unfortunately these charms just do so much damage that we do lose with 2 shields remaining. So even when I played that match really well, in my eyes anyway, we still lose just because they had a massive fast move damage Pokemon in the back in the form of Grand Ball. So into the next game here, we're leading into a Scrafty. This is a massive core breaker for the team. They go for a foul play. I shield it up. I'm going for the Fire Blast. If we can land this, this will take out the Scrafty. We'll one-shot it, and that is insane. I switch into the Shiftry here. They come in with Altaria. Hurricane's going to be doing a lot of damage to the Altaria, but it will not one-shot. They actually shield it up, and now my opponent is going to throw another charge move here, or the first charge move, sorry, into the Shiftry before I get to another Hurricane, and that puts me in a very good position here. I come in with the Alolan Marowak. Hopefully we can land the Shadow Bone, and we're able to, and my opponent goes for the charge move just before I reach my next move, but that's fine. I'm going to let this go through, come in with Venusaur. My opponent didn't want to get farmed down, and unfortunately they've just handed me a win condition here, because I'm going to be able to completely Vine Whip, farm down this Whiscash, come out with nearly back-to-back Frenzy Plants, going for the first one here, and this should be getting the shield, and we get to a second one, and even though it's double resisted, this will easily be enough to take out the Altaria, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we lead into a Drapion. This is a massive core breaker for the team because all three Pokemon are weak to it. So I'm going to have to be very, what's the word, like intricate about my energy and my opponent's energy, and they come in with a Skarmory, so things are really not looking good here. We really need to be careful about how we dance around the energy on my opponent's team. They do have a Shadow Skarmory, so that means the Sky Attack is going to be doing even more damage here than normal. But we can tank a Sky Attack, whereas a Crunch from a Shadow Drapion is going to be nearly deadly. So I do build up to the back-to-back Shadow Bones here. We take out the Skarmory. I switch into the Venusaur. Their switch clock isn't up yet, so they're forced to stay in with the Swampert. Throw a charge move. We can tank this, although that unfortunately means that this Drapion can now spam those Aqua Tails. First one gets a shield from me. I'm going for the Frenzy Plant here. This second one, actually, Frenzy Plant, they let it go through, and that gives me a win condition here because I can shield this up and hopefully I can Vine Whip farm them down, and I'm able to just as they reach the next Aqua Tail. I can't Vine Whip farm down the Swampert, but one Hex is enough to take them out, and I take that game. So GG's to that opponent there, very close game. Into the next game, we lead into a Stunfisk, so I'm going to switch into the Shiftry here. My opponent stays in for a while, they switch into a Medicham, and is this going to be a repeat of game one? Will they shield it? No, they don't, and we one-shot the Medicham once again, and that just puts me in a really good position here. I'm actually going to shield up this move here, because I know that the spamminess of the Shadow Shiftry is really going to pressure the shields of my opponent. They've seen the Medicham get one-shot, so they do put a shield up there. They probably realise that they can tank a Leaf Blade, so they're not going to shield the second time, but I'm just going to force them to throw their energy. They go for the Rock Slide. It does take me out. I'm going to come in with the Venusaur here. After we wait out the switch clock, we come in with the Venusaur. They switch into a Licky Tongue, and now we're in a pretty good position here because these Licks, they don't do too much damage, but the charge moves, both charge moves that the Licky Tongue typically runs, are going to be resisted by the Alolan Marowak. So I'm just going to farm up to the Frenzy Plant, go for it here, and then switch to catch the next charge move from the Licky Tongue after one more Vine Whip, and we're able to catch it. This should just be a Body Slam. Body Slam, double resisted by the Ghost typing. These Licks are super effective, but it's just not going to be enough damage, and I'm expecting them to switch out straight away, so I go for the Shadow Bone here. This will be taking out the Stunfisk, and I'm going to be able to Hex, farm down this Licky Tongue here, and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game here, we lead into a Skarmory, so this is where we want to see it. Unfortunately, I realised that I'm lagging by one turn at the start there, meaning I have to throw my charge move straight away. Otherwise, if I let them reach a Sky Attack and throw, then I will not get my next fast move through. They go for a Brave Bird, so I instantly swap into Shiftry, anticipating that they're going to be switching into something a bit stronger up against my Alolan Marowak. I go for the Leaf Blade. It does so much damage, but unfortunately, it doesn't quite take them out. I can tank any move here, but I have a decision to make. Do I go for the Leaf Blade? I decide not to, and then I'm farmed down, and I already know that this is going to be an ABB style team, and they've got a Shadow Swampert in the back, so I've completely thrown this game. So even though I had the correct type advantage in all three matchups here, I've completely stuffed up this game, and my opponent Skarmory still not low enough for me to farm them down, so I'm going to have to throw a charge move into the Skarmory, meaning that the Swampert will in fact be able to get to a charge move before I get to the back-to-back Frenzy Plants, and unfortunately our Venusaur is going to be going down to a Shadow Swampert. So really well played by my opponent there. I did kind of throw that match, but just shows you that even with a triple sort of typical hard counter team, I'm still not going to be winning every single game. So GG's to that opponent, very well played. Into the next game, and we lead into another Swampert here, so I'm expecting the Skarmory, so this time I try to catch the Hydro Cannon, but they go for the Sludge Wave, and now they switch into a Wigglytuff. It should have cost a turn for their switch, so I should be able to get the back-to-back Leaf Blades off, but the game is so inconsistent, so they actually get a 0-turn switch, and meaning that their Charm does go through, so now I'm in a really big disadvantage at this point. I have to shield this up, and now I'm 2 shields down. But they come in with Azumarill, so they're super weak to the grass typing, and actually Venusaur is a massive core breaker for their whole team. So I'm going to farm up extra energy here, go for another Frenzy Plant, and then I'm going to try to catch the Ice Beam onto my Marowak, and I'm able to successfully do so. So this is resisted, it doesn't do an awful lot of damage, the bubbles are super effective, but I can get to the back-to-back Shadow Bones, and this will be threatening the Azumarill. The first one goes through, they switch out, and they've probably banked an Ice Beam, so I do have to be careful about that. I land the Shadow Bone, I force my opponent to throw their energy, which is perfect. I'm only 1 Vine Whip away from the Frenzy Plant, meaning that even if the Azumarill has an Ice Beam, I'm able to get to the charge move, and it's a CMP tie, and I'm able to take them out there. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we lead into an Altaria. This is where we want to see it on this team, and typically Altaria throws straight away, so I'm able to get a full free Hex in there. Once they get to the Sky Attack, I'm going for a Shadow Bone here. I don't expect my opponent to shield the first one, and they don't. I'm able to overfarm slightly, go for another Shadow Bone, and this should be getting shield, or it will take up the Altaria. I do get the shield this time, they switch out. I'm going to come in with the Shiftry. I'm going to no-shield this. This is just a Surf, so I can comfortably tank this, whereas the Thunderbolt previously was a bit more threatening. I'm going for the Leaf Blade, and I will now be able to farm them down, which is perfect. My opponent comes back in with the Altaria. I get to a Leaf Blade here. We get the shield from the Altaria. I'm able to get to another Leaf Blade, and this should be very close to knocking them out, but they do just barely hang on, and they're able to Dragon Breath farm me down. And I'm just going to let this go down. Hopefully Venusaur can sweep whatever is in the back. It's a Registeel, and we should still be in a very good position here because Venusaur does resist the typical movesets from this Registeel. Both Zap Cannon and Focus Blast are resisted. They're going to do a lot of damage, but they're not enough to take me out, and we can outpace this Registeel. So even though they debuffed me there, we're still going to be in a good position here to close out this match. We can safely shield this charge move and get to another charge move here on the Venusaur. We're actually over farming, we're going for a Sludge Bomb, we're going to BM, we go for the double resisted charge move, and we're able to take out the Registeel and Vine Whip, farm down the Altaria and take that game. I'm not going to lie, I actually completely forgot the Altaria was still alive there, but luckily they didn't make a catch and were able to win. Into the next game, we lead into a Alolan Ninetales here. I'm going to overfarm a bit here, go for the Shadow Bone. We're not at a Fire Blast, so I don't expect them to shield, and they choose not to shield. We go for the next Shadow Bone. My opponent throws on the CMP tie, which is very good, but they just throw a Weather Ball. I don't have to shield that. I'm going to go for the Shadow Bone here. Shadow Bone takes out the Ninetales. They switch into Stunfisk, or they bring it in after their Pokemon goes down. I come in with the Shadow Shiftry here. I'm going to just spam these Leaf Blades at an insane rate. They're going to go for a charge move here. I'm going to let this go through, and it's just a Foul Play, which is perfect. Potentially they're running Foul Play and Psychic, so Foul Play is the correct move to throw. They go for a Leaf Blade, or I go for a Leaf Blade, sorry. I'm going for a second Leaf Blade on the CMP tie here. We just completely take out the Umbreon here, and I'm going for another Leaf Blade up against this Galarian Stunfisk. Shiftry is just insanely spammy here, and I'm able to switch and catch the Rock Slide on my Alolan Marowak, which is perfect. I'm going to come back in with the Shiftry, and I'm just going to force them to expend their energy. They already know how spammy this Shiftry is, so they don't want to take a risk, and I'm happy to let the Shiftry go down now. And now with 2 shields, this is a super comfortable matchup for the Venusaur. I can tell they're just going to go straight Rock Slide here, but I don't care. I'm just going to use both my shields, get to the back-to-back Frenzy Plant. This is a CMP tie, but I do still have that 1 shield. The first Frenzy Plant is shielded. I'm going to shield up this Rock Slide and then go for a second Frenzy Plant, and this Frenzy Plant is easily going to be enough to take out the Alolan Stunfisk, or the Galarian Stunfisk, sorry, getting my generations mixed up, and I'm able to take that game. Into next game, into another Swampert lead, and unfortunately it's another Swampert Skarmory core. So we're going to go for the Hurricane here after building up a bit more extra energy. Skarmory actually shields that. Skarmory really doesn't need to shield any charge move coming from Shiftry. It can tank anything, but I would suggest if the Shiftry is running foul play that you shield the second time, but you don't ever have to shield the first move from the Shiftry. So there's definitely a misplay from my opponent, meaning that we've actually got a chance to win this match here. I am going to shield up this charge move here, but then I can overfarm a ton up against the Skarmory. I'm actually going to build to nearly the back-to-back charge moves here, going for the first Shadow Bone. My opponent lets it go through. They come back in with the Swampert, so I'm going for the Shadow Bone here, and then I'm going to switch into the Venusaur. My opponent actually lets it go through, and unfortunately for them, we get the defense drop, meaning those Vine Whips did so much damage that they're only one Vine Whip away from completely fainting. They come in with a Sableye, but because I've got an energy advantage, I should be in a very good position here. I can go for the Frenzy Plant straight away up against this Sableye, and at this point I think a Hydro Cannon still won't take us out, but they don't have it anyway, so we're able to Vine Whip, farm down that Swampert and take that game. And into the next game here, we lead into a Trevenant, so I'm going to go all the way up to the Shadow Bone, straight away, throw it, pause for a split second, meaning that they're not able to catch, and then I will switch into my Shiftry as we resist all the moves on the Trevenant, but my opponent makes an insane catch onto the Registeel, realising that I'm probably just going to go straight for the Leaf Blade, so a really good play by them. My opponent goes straight for the Focus Blast, so I will shield this up, and now I'm going to overfarm, I think, just a little bit, go for another Leaf Blade. They probably don't realise, but we're not even running the foul play here, but these Leaf Blades really chunk this Registeel, and this third Leaf Blade should be very close to taking it out, but we get a shield, but I've still got another Leaf Blade loaded, which is perfect. Leaf Blade barely doesn't take them out, and unfortunately I'm going to have to use my second shield here. They go for the Focus Blast, and what are they going to come in with? They come in with an Azumarill, so they are core broken by the Shiftry here. So I'm going to overfarm a ton, catch the Ice Beam on the Alolan Marowak, which is perfect. And now they should just be able to completely bubble farm me down, but that is fine. I'm going to come in with my Venusaur here, force them to throw their energy as soon as they get to it. And they do go for the Ice Beam straight away. I'm also forcing them to come back out with the Trevenant, which is exactly what I want because I can go for the Leaf Blade here, and they are so low that I can go for the Leaf Blade, and it takes out the Trevenant, and at this point I've got the back-to-back Leaf Blades to throw into the Azumarill. First one takes them super low, and this second one I don't even need to charge up the bubbles because Leaf Blade easily enough to take out the Azumarill there, and I'm able to take that game. And now into the final battle of this video, we lead into a Galarian Stunfisk. So I switch into the Shiftry. Once again we're met with an Altaria, so this is a bad matchup, but this Hurricane does a huge amount of damage, and I am going to be forcing this Altaria to throw the energy into the Shiftry before we get to the next charge move, which is perfectly fine. I'm going to come in with the Alolan Marowak and completely Hex farm down this Altaria, and I'm not going to shield the Sky Attack either. We do get the Hex farm down. We've even got a Fire Blast loaded. Is this Galarian Stunfisk going to respect the Fire Blast? No, we one-shot it, and now they've got a Jellicent in the back. We should be in a very good position, although they might double bait me with the Bubble Beams, but I think even then we should be able to get to the triple Frenzy Plant before they reach the threatening Shadow Ball. So we go for the first Frenzy Plant there, we're going for the second Frenzy Plant here, and this should be getting the final shield from my opponent. And now, are they going to bait me, or are they going to go for the Shadow Ball? They go for the Shadow Ball, so a very good shield there, and this Frenzy Plant, even though it is debuffed, is easily enough to take out the Jellicent, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, then make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you're not yet subscribed and you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and as well, turn on post notifications so that way you're notified whenever I upload a new video. And with that being said, let's get into the shoutouts from my previous video. So firstly, we've got Aelpori, who says play a set with a Shadow team, only using Frustration as the charge move and try to win. I think that's a pretty cool idea, so I might give it a go in the future. Next we've got Jesus or Jesus, Elizondo, and they said that if I did an alphabet challenge, so I start with A and I have to use 3 Pokemon that start with the letter A, so for example Azumarill, Altaria and Araquanid, and then the next video that I would do would be starting with B and it would make it a 26 part series, then that would be pretty cool. And I definitely agree, whether or not it would catch on and whether I'd actually be able to get through all 26 stages and there would still be as big an engagement well, that would remain to be seen, but I think it's an interesting idea. Next we've got Chaos288 who says the Chase Cup, you start with your favourite team, then you always pick a team that would have hard countered that opponent. So it's almost like the reverse copycat challenge. So instead of copying your previous opponent's team, you're actually going to use a team that would have hard countered their team. I think it's pretty interesting, but I'm not sure how it would work, but definitely a cool idea. And finally, we've got a bonus shout out here for Curtis Wong, who came up with a very interesting challenge, the triple Rickroll challenge. So the rules are: 1, start with Dusk Noir, 2, waving hands, 2, Hitmontop, turning around like the spinning around Rickroll, and then 3, Hitmonchan, 2 hands punching, front facing, just like Rick Astley's hands. I could even label it as like the strongest Great League team ever, and then completely Rickroll all of the viewers, which would even add to the challenge, but I just think that's a pretty funny idea. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.